Right, crew, you all ready? It's going to be a long old voyage, I reckon.
Aye, Captain.
Are you ready to go to exciting, strange new lands?
Aye, Captain.
They're gonna be nice places to be, I reckon.
Pleasant, Captain.
Indeed, and we're probably gonna meet some people we've not met before.
Strangers, Captain.
Indeed, and with these aims of the ship in mind, I think it's time to set sail on the maiden voyage of the HMS Queer and Pleasant Strangers.
Yar!
Yarr!
Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Dale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers, that podcast where me and Jane spend an hour being a couple of trans ladies who are queer and doing silly things what make us laugh and catching up on our weeks and that.
As opposed to the rest of our weeks when we're somehow not queer and trans.
I'm making this up on the fly. It's fine, I'm doing the thing.
How does the fly feel about this?
I have no idea. How are you doing this week?
No, I feel snuffly.
You got the snuffles.
I do. So apologies if I'm a bit quiet and a bit bass heavy this
You've
week.
got a case of the poorlies.
I do. I'm sitting here in a scarf and a hoodie. A very attractive hoodie available from the Laura K. Buzz Spreadshirt store.
I believe it's Spreadshirt that you can get that nice Laura K. Buzz hoodie on.
With that awesome heart.
Oh, I do love that logo design. It's pretty fucking rad.
I love it too. I'm getting it as my next tattoo.
Oh, Hackins.
So if whoever created that is listening, thanks.
I do not remember the name off the top of my head, but I can find that out. But yeah, should we jump into the things of the week?
What have you played?
I've played quite a lot this week because we actually we had our first weekend off in a while.
There was no partying.
No partying, no seeing friends. As much as I love partying and seeing friends, it was nice to have a quiet weekend at home.
After 3.5 months.
So yeah, shall I start with the thing I've played?
Yes.
I'm going to get out the way the thing I played that was terrible. We got codes for that Danger Mouse game, Danger Mouse the Danger Games.
I haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
Yeah,
Is it a bad party game?
Worse. It looks like a bad phone game.
Oh.
So basically, it's introduced by some aliens that talk about how you're going to be made to do pointless, unnecessary, random games for no reason. And then you are randomly assigned a name, and you have to just keep hitting randomize, and it'll be things like Jelly Fart Legs and silly names like that. But you're actually playing as Danger Mouse. I don't know why Danger Mouse has to be called some weird gobbledygook name. Right. So, you get into the game and it turns out it's basically just a non-stop runner. And, clearly one that's been ported off a phone. It's not good.
Oh dear.
But they've clearly not even made enough character models to, have... So, you're in a race with 3 other characters, except they clearly only have 2 character models. Danger Mouse, who you play as, because that's the goodie, and the green frog villain, forget his name, Baron
Silas Greenback.
That's it, Baron Greenback. All three people I was racing against were just the Baron, and they were all called Baron Greenback. There's Baron Greenback, Baron Greenback, Baron Greenback, we have no other character models, and Danger Mouse, who for some reason is called, Jelly Fart Legs or whatever. And then it's a terrible non-stop runner. But I played it, so I thought I should mention it.
I wanted to make it as evil as possible, Stiletto.
So yeah, I played a terrible game. What have you played this week? I promise the rest of mine will be better.
Well, I started playing that Dead Cells.
Oh, yeah.
We did a bit of a swap. We swapped Metroidvanias.
Yeah, so there's a thing you can do with the Switch now where you can, have your games on a secondary Switch, and as long as you're not playing your downloaded games at that moment, they can be played on the other Switch. So we just kind of logged in as each other in each other's accounts, and now we get to play each other's games.
Rather than just handing each other our Switches.
Well, the thing
would
is,
also work.
for something like Dead Cells, I don't know if Dead Cells has multiple saves, does it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's by moving it over, you had your own fresh save file, and that's a benefit to it, that we're not treading on each other's saves.
That is true.
But yeah,
But they should just allow additional saves.
They should. But how did she get on with Dead Cells?
I'm really enjoying it. I'm like you say, it has got that really good one more play. It's fast, it's pretty, it's bold. The soundtrack's good. The procedural generation doesn't get that sort of awful, dull murk that you get with some. It feels right.
All of these procedurally generated levels feel very deliberately designed.
Yeah.
Like, they don't feel generic.
No. They have the elements that you would expect in a level of that type. Like, the sewer level feels like a sewer level. And the ramparts level is obviously set out that way. But the differences within those levels that the procedural generation is allowed to sort of dig into, it does it really, really well.
Yeah, it's the first game since probably The Binding of Isaac that I've really gotten into that just one more go sort of loop with. It's a really spectacular game. I keep saying this. I love the fact that the traps that your sort of like time limited abilities are on relatively cool timers. Yeah. So like you're encouraged to use them nice and frequently. I love the variety of different types of weapons you can go in with, and the different loadouts you can get out for your 4.
Yeah. There's lots of different options of things you can do, and sort of types of loadout you could do, what you want to power up. Yeah. There's always something to sort of be unlocking next and working towards.
You were enjoying that loadout that I like, the sword in one hand and icy Hadouken in the other one.
Yeah, I also quite like having a crossbow in that hand.
Yeah,
not the shotgun crossbow that you like, but the sort of the rekit of crossbow.
The slightly faster crossbow.
Yeah, because I like the speed of it, and the second time I bumped into the concierge, I had. I think a blood blade or the crit blade.
Yeah,
that goes slightly yellow. I had the this like gold level recurve bow, which fired 2 arrows forward and 1 arrow backwards.
Yeah.
I then had the ice bomb and the fire bomb.
Yeah.
So I was just chucking down ice bombs to slow them down, and then just like grenade, then just like arrows, going in for a few slashes. I got him down fairly quickly that time.
I'm really impressed with how quickly you've taken to this game. Like, you've made it past that first boss, like, I'm pretty sure faster than I did.
Well, I think, I'd say I was something like 2 hours in by the time I defeated it. It was only the second time I'd encountered it.
Yeah, you're doing well. You've taken to that game very well.
I've not got much further than that, and I've struggled to get sort of to that level again. I think it was just one particularly good weapon.
I can at this point like pretty reliably get past the concierge, but I can only reliably get a level or two beyond that before I like start getting very hit and miss. It's a game to chip away at in bits and pieces.
I'm nearly at the point of having my 3rd health potion as well.
Oh yeah, those health potion upgrades are so worthwhile.
Yeah, they are the main ones that sort of push you that much further through.
Yeah, they give you the ability to make mistakes and to keep going.
Yeah, although you do have to still be relatively careful because there are some enemies that are like 3 hits and you're fucked.
Oh yeah, you realistically, like, once you're 2 or 3 levels in, you want to be healing when you're like, oh, I'm down to maybe 40% time to heal.
Yeah.
There are some... Or if you get trapped by a big mob of them.
Yeah, there is always that risk, especially if you've got any ones that teleport. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Would definitely recommend.
Yay. In terms of stuff I've been playing one of your games that I've been meaning to get around to, which was Hollow Knight, in a very similar vein. It's another sort of 2D... difficult combat Metroidvania type thing. This one's not procedurally generated.
No, it's got a bit more Celeste in it than...
Yeah, it's got a little bit more like precision, like lots of things flying around the screen that you got to dodge from.
Yeah, precision. There are precision jumping bits as well later on that your Celeste skills might come in handy for.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, I'm really glad I got around to playing that game. It feels very, very, very 2D Dark Souls in its combat. It's the try and dodge every single hit. Don't try and make an opening to hit bosses. Wait for them to leave an opening themselves. it's very much that flow of combat where you just stay at a distance, try and dodge things, and wait until their attack lands them in a position where you can get some hits in.
Yeah, I really feel like Hollow Knight has a very specific rhythm to it. And
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason I struggle, because I do
Yeah,
have issues
it's-
with rhythm stuff.
it's-
You being a drummer, though.
It's a kind of rhythm. I don't think I'd have got on with Hollow Knight if I hadn't got on with Dark Souls.
Yeah.
They're both very similar rhythms to their combat, but yeah, I've made it through the big boss of 2 areas. I got through the huge dude with his big sword thing, and I made it past the girl that zips around the screen all
You
quick.
did the False Knight, you've just done Hornet.
Hornet, yes, that's it. False Knight
Or
and
the
Hornet.
first encounter with Hornet.
Yeah, False Knight, first encounter with Hornet, and I've done some like little side bosses I've found around in
You
places.
did the fly thing that was eating the braggy guy
Yeah,
from the town.
I'm really enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun. It's a difficult game, but one that I feel like it's my fault if I mess up. I never feel like I'm blaming the game for it. So
You've been really good at harvesting cash as well, because you've managed to get the key already for the end of the...
yeah,
Now?
yeah. I've been saving up that money. I don't think I've failed to recover my souls once yet.
Nice.
So yeah, what about you? What else have you been playing?
Well, we played something together. We had a go at Tiny Epic Zombies finally.
Oh yes.
Yeah. That's a fun little board game with lots of replayability, I reckon.
Yeah, it's one where you set out these like cards on the table to lay out the map of this. What's it, like a shopping
It's
centre?
a shopping mall, and you lay the 8 shops around the different around the sort of main centre court. There you have your survivors, sort of a barricade set up, and that's sort of a good place to come back to heal. And then, depending on how you shuffle out, I think there's something like 18 objective cards, and
Yeah.
you pick 3 out to do as your quest.
And the examples of ones we had one where we had to run around the mall trying to find examples of the cause of the zombie outbreak and try and nail down what that was.
Yeah.
We had to collect the parts to fix a helicopter to escape.
Yeah.
We had to find an exit to the mall and find out which was the real exit and wasn't blocked up. What other ones did we have?
We had to get some weapons and a bunch of ammo together to form a cache for when we escaped.
Oh, we had to rescue some survivors from some rooms and
Yeah.
hope that they weren't like
Zombies.
Yeah, that they weren't actually zombies.
Oh.
And yeah, the whole thing is you move around set amounts. You move 3 squares at a time,
Yep.
and it's just go between these rooms, roll the dice to find out if there's any penalty. Like you fight zombies, and you are guaranteed to kill the zombie when you try and fight it, but you just roll the dice to find out will there be a negative consequence for that encounter. It was a really fun little game, wasn't it?
It was really good. I'm very glad I spotted that one on Kickstarter.
All those the little figures are so cute.
The meeples have all got little holes in their hands so that you can equip them with a projectile and a ranged and a melee weapon. So there's little plastic chainsaws and katanas and
I had that
machetes.
bazooka thing.
You had the bazooka, there's little Uzi, MP5s, a couple of rifles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing that really struck me on our first couple of plays is it definitely seems paced to have your 3 missions be completable, but only just in time. Because
Yeah.
if you run out of cards in your like scenario deck, that like every turn you take a card from this deck, and if that runs out, you've lost.
Yeah. So the
First-
zombies get assigned the
Yeah.
scavenge deck, which contains a number of events that could be things like somebody getting bitten or what were some of the other ones? You had a couple, didn't
I
you?
can't remember now, but like also there can be good things in there.
There
Like
can be good things, and there can also be sort of weapons and things which you
Yeah.
sort of can scavenge, and they will be left in the shop for the next person to
But-
come along and pick up.
But when that deck runs out, you've lost. And we played it through twice. The first round we did, we completed our final objective on the final
turn.
possible turn. Like, the deck was run out. If it had started the next turn, we'd have been done. The second game we played, we had 2 cards left in the deck. So, again, we were cutting it close. It's one of those things. These objectives are very doable, but you've got to get a move on. You can't waste any time.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a lot of good fun, and I look forward to playing more of it and trying it with other people. And I would like to see what it's like with a zombie player.
Yeah, there's some modes of it we've not tried yet. We just did
the AI zombie.
Yeah, 2 people and an AI zombie.
But you can do solo with an AI zombie, up to 4 people with an AI zombie, or you can do 4-player versus a zombie player.
Yeah, so I'm excited for game night when we can try this with a few more people.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, should we talk about other things to be played?
Yeah. Should we do the big one?
Should we do the big one?
The big one.
We played a game that, at the time of recording, isn't out yet. We played a lot of Super Mario Party, which is the new Mario Party game for the Switch.
I worked out we played about 15 to 18 hours of that.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. The first night we spent 7 hours straight playing it, and we had a blast.
I assure you those 7 hours were queer as fuck.
Yes, they were very pleasant as well. we were not strangers.
No.
But yeah, so for anyone who's not played a Mario Party... Well, actually, I'll start with if you've played a Mario...
If you've played a Mario Party in the last 20 years, fuck me, I'm old.
Yeah.
Then you know the basic gist of it. It's a board game with mini-games.
It's a board game with mini-games. You roll a dice, you move around the board, you try and buy stars. Whoever has the most stars wins. There's some randomly assigned ones at the end for different rewards. There's a couple of things this one does differently that I thought were really nice additions. First up, I think we should probably talk about that the ally system. Actually, no, we'll talk about the dice first. The multiple dice.
Okay, so each character has their own unique dice as well as a standard d6?
Yeah, so every character has just a 1 to 6 standard dice, but they also have their own dice that's specific to that character. So for Waluigi has a dice that has 2 5s and a 7, but on the bottom end has I think a 1, a 3, or lose some money.
Which one?
Waluigi.
Waluigi has a minus 1 or 2 minus 2 coins, and the others are all 6s. Shy Guy has a 0 and all 4s.
Yeah.
I think Dry Bones has got a 10, a 9, a 7, and the rest are all zeros.
There's one of the characters I remember that had just a standard 1 to 6, but instead of the 1, it was just a +1 coin.
I think it was Monty Mole.
Yeah, so if you were I definitely don't want to land on that thing 1 space in front of me, you can guarantee you won't land on it.
That's true.
So, there was definitely some interesting stuff going on with, who you picked and what additional dice options you had.
Yeah.
And then there's this new mechanic of allies and friends.
Ooh.
And basically, by landing on certain spaces on the board, you can get randomly given a new character. And every turn, they will roll a small dice that will give you 0, 1, or 2 extra moves. Plus, you'll have their character-specific dice in your pool of dice, so you have more options strategically of what to play with. I really liked that friend system. And the dice system. It really added a bit of strategy, didn't it?
Definitely, and it became a thing to sort of try and gather allies as quickly as possible, so that you could get the most movement out of yourself.
If you can get
late game
3 or 4 allies early on, you can be getting 6 or 7, maybe 8 extra moves before your dice has even been rolled.
Yep.
At which point you're really incentivized to do my Bowser dice that has a +10 on it. I'll take the risk, because even if I mess up, I might still get 8 moves.
Yeah, there's also the added bonus of the fact that you might get the ally bonus star at the end for getting allies, so that's pretty handy.
And then even in some of the between round mini games, sometimes those allies will pop up and help, and it'll be
So in the football game, they'll pop up and be on your team to assist.
Yeah, I really liked that as a twist on that mechanic. It was the biggest change they've made to that formula, but it was good. Should we talk about the mini games a bit? Because
there's lots of mini games.
I think there's about 80 of them.
There is
80
according to the thing.
Yeah, and they're good.
Yeah,
there were some good mini games.
Yeah, there were a couple I got a little bit frustrated with, but for them, almost. I can tell you the only one that annoyed me was football.
Yeah.
Playing football with AI-controlled allies was the only problem I had. Because sometimes they just don't pass the ball and they don't shoot.
At a press event, I played it with 4 human players and it definitely was more playable.
Yeah.
I think generally, this was sort of the point we'll get to again in a bit. Generally, the AI was really good, though.
It was amazing. Particularly that one where we had to sort of was it the memory game? So you have
Oh.
like the all the cards flip over. You have to remember all the ones of a certain suit and pick all 4 out.
Yeah.
So you really sort of start going, oh, I'll just focus on one, and then go, well, hang on, what if the AI picks that one? But luckily, the AI has a bit of a pause before it actually starts moving, so that
Yeah.
you can pretty much guarantee you will get one, even if it's the one directly in front of them.
Yeah, like the AI was in the co-op stuff, the AI was very good at not getting in the way, but also not messing up. Yeah. So generally, I was a big fan of this. It's
definitely.
the core party game stuff is a lot of fun. I think the other thing that surprised me was how fun the non-board game content in that was. We had a lot of fun with that. The rafting
The rapid
game.
whitewater rafting one.
Yeah, so each of us were on one side of a raft, and we had 2 AI people, and we had to sort of use the Joy-Con like oars to sort of paddle down these various rapids, and to get more time on the rapids, you had to do co-op mini games.
Yeah, paddle into the big pink balloon, and you'll pop it and get to play a mini game for extra time.
I was really expecting the AI companions on that to get in the way or to not. They were really good at like working out where we were trying to paddle and like helping.
Yep, and if we started bumping into one thing, they would sort of try and push us along to the correct side.
Yeah,
they took their cues from us. It was very good.
Yeah, and they were very helpful in all the co-op mini games.
Yeah, things like the fishing one where you've all got to pull the net up at the same time, so they don't sort of fight you on that.
Yeah, no, they just do it exactly when. If we did it in time, they would do it in time.
Yeah.
So that was. Yeah, and the other one was there was a music rhythm one as well that we went through.
Yeah, not my speciality, but I like the music, and if you're good at rhythm action stuff, that's a good example thereof.
There was a big gauntlet where we were doing all the mini games one after another and passing it back and forth. There was a couple we struggled, but we got through all of them.
Yeah, I mean we got through that pretty much we got through all of it in one sitting. So.
Yeah. So there's one bit of the game that you didn't get a chance to play, and I feel like this is important to talk about. So there is a portion of this game called Toad's Rec Room, which is honestly a really fantastic bit of game that most players will never see. So it's a bunch of mini games that all involve multiple switches, and there'll be things like place both your switches flat on a table, and you've got to here's multiple halves of bananas that look very similar, and you've got to rotate the switches around and find this is the top and bottom of a banana that match. Draw a line because you've lined it up the right way, and then the next one pops up. Or there's one where you're driving these tanks around and you have to set up your base with these defences, then put the switches together and draw a line, and you can drive through one switch and into the other. And all of these minigame things were really clever uses of the Switch, really fantastic fun little games to play. The issue is, you need 2 Switches and 2 copies of the game.
Yeah.
We have 2 Switches in the house. We don't have 2 copies of Mario Party. We tried to fake our way around it. We did try, and I will run through this because I know some people are going to be wondering if this is possible. With the new secondary accounts thing on Switch, primary Switch turned the internet off. Secondary Switch booted up Mario Kart, so we had Mario Parties. We had it running on both systems with just 1 copy of the game. Tried to connect them. It did not want to connect them.
No.
So, yeah, there's no download play or anything, so you're going to need 2 copies of the game to play that. And while it's really fun content if you've got 2 copies of the game there, I don't know if it's enough to justify buying a second copy of that game.
No, I can't imagine it would be for just a couple of extra games.
Yeah.
It is cool tech, though.
Yeah, if you're in a situation to try it, that content is super worth trying, but a lot of people aren't going to get a chance to. But yeah, no, we played so much. Oh, we didn't even talk about that new board game mode, the co-op teams thing.
No. There's so much in this.
Yeah, there's a whole mode where instead of going around the board in a predetermined path, you play as teams of 2, and your dice rolls are added up together, and each player on the team can move that combined number. And you're moving around a free-form grid on those existing maps. And you've still got your objectives of trying to get stars and trying to collect allies, but it's a lot more strategic movement based. Yeah, there's a lot of content in this game.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I would still continue to play more of it.
Yeah, like we played it for like 15 hours, and even last night it was
We
like
did another hour.
it was like 10, half 10 at night. It's like, do we want to do something before bed? Let's play another round of Mario Party.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you've enjoyed this one.
Well, it's the first one I played since I think Mario Party 4 or 5. I had one on the GameCube. I know it wasn't any of the ones with the microphone.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and it's also the first time I played a Mario Party with another human being.
Oh, that definitely helps.
Not to have friends, so no one to play with.
Hooray for the No Friend Squad! Woo! But yeah, as someone that's played a few of these, this is by far the most I've enjoyed a Mario Party.
I'm glad.
I think that the ally system and the friend system both add a lot to make that system feel more strategic. I like the whole you can, as you get further into the game, you can mine more stars at once on the star spots. It just feels like they finally sort of rebooted this series a bit into something that works a bit better.
And they got rid of that car mechanic that everyone
Yes,
seemed to hate.
I was not a fan of the car mechanic. Yeah, no, this is a really good Mario Party. I think the only other thing to say about it, all of the mini-games are played with a single Joy-Con. You cannot play this game with a pair of Joy-Cons. You cannot play it in handheld mode with the Joy-Cons attached to the screen. You cannot play it with a Pro Controller. You have to play it with, here is a screen in front of me and I'm playing with a single Joy-Con. Which, it totally worked well like that, and I think the intention is that out the box, they guarantee that people will be able to play multiplayer.
Yeah, it was nice to see the HD Rumble used as well.
Oh yeah, there was
That
some
was my first encounter with that.
There were some really good HD Rumble mini games.
Yeah, I particularly like the one where you see the three characters walk past or roll past, and then you have to work out based on the rumble that they made, and a rumble that you're then shown had sort of have to feel blind to work out which character it was that you were feeling.
But the one that really impressed me was the pick up the box and try and feel how many acorns are in it.
Oh yeah, shake the boxes
Yeah.
and try and get the highest score for the most acorns.
Reliably, we were always getting the big boxes. You could tell how many were in there. It's impressive tech, isn't it?
Definitely. I still want to go and I still want to play 1-2 Switch at some point.
Yeah, we'll need to sort of boot that up at some
I'll
point.
have to dig it out wherever it is.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a good Mario Party. I had a lot of fun with it.
It was good.
Did you play anything else this week?
I had a quick look at Sonic Mania.
Oh, how'd you get on with that?
It's good, that, isn't it?
It's a good classic Sonic game, isn't it?
It is. It's weird that it's sort of classic and modern. It feels like a really good ROM hack.
So, you know why it feels like a really good ROM hack?
Because it's made by ROM hackers.
Yeah, it's Sega basically went to a bunch of ROM hack people and went, hey, you make really good, classic Sonic stuff that feels new and modern. Can you come make a game for us?
And it had that almost sort of more Sonic CD level length as opposed to sort of classic game level length.
It really goes to show what can happen when you take people who really know and love a franchise and know how to make good stuff in it and go, rather than shut them down, go, no, come in, help us to make this.
Yeah, and good as Freedom Planet was, I don't think it quite scratched the Sonic itch that I had.
Yeah.
And I would still say that my favourite Sonic is Sonic 3.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily popular.
That's fair. But I'm glad you enjoyed Mania. It's a good little game.
I will head back to that.
Yeah.
What else have you played?
I played one last game. Absolutely adorable little game on the Switch called Wandersong.
Wandersong.
What is the secret of your singing?
It's the right control stick, isn't it?
Yeah, so Wandersong is this really adorable little game. It's a sort of 2D platform adventure. The art style is gorgeous. It looks like it's all made of very simple shapes, garishly coloured, craft paper almost, just sort of layered on top of each other. And you play as a bard who finds out the world is going to end and goes, I'm going to try and stop it ending through music. And you run around the world, your right stick in 8 directions does colour and music as you sing. You've got a dedicated dancing button, which is adorable.
Who doesn't want a dedicated
You just
dancing
sort of
button?
dance across the world going, well, the world's going to end. I'm going to stop it. Don't know how my singing's going to help. I'm going to hope it does. It's got a great soundtrack. The game is refreshingly optimistic and hopeful.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving stuff, there's a lot of beautiful stuff. In the first couple of hours with that game, I met a gay yeti, and I was like, oh, his boyfriend has been cursed. I will somehow use my music to save his boyfriend. I met a girl who was struggling because her mum had passed away and she didn't know how to, keep going with the music without her mother around, and we had this really beautiful back and forth where we used music to help her sort of come to terms with her things and feel close to her mother again. It's just this beautiful little adventure where I think the thing that I really enjoy about it is it gets the music is beautiful even when it's not perfect. There is very little pressure to be precise with the music rhythm stuff in this game. You can make a lot of mistakes, a lot of fumbles, and you don't get a big like you made a sound wrong, or you're not forced to go back and try again, and it doesn't want to penalise you, it just lets you go with the music, and if you mess up badly enough that you have to redo it, it'll just start looping from the beginning and you can keep trying. It just focuses on music as a beautiful thing that brings people together, rather than on something that has to be perfect and has to be precise to have any value. It's really nice. It's just a really lovely game. It's been very heartwarming to play.
Yay.
Feels like a proper good palate cleanser. Of just a nice, positive, optimistic game of someone that's just like, I just want to do good with my music.
More of that, please.
Yeah. So that's Wandersong, which is my last game. Have you played anything else?
No, that's all I played.
Right. On to the next thing.
Ooh.
It's cold and flu season. Do you need something dramatic? Something that will get rid of that stuffy nose?
Yeah, I've been really ill for a few days.
Coughing up chunks?
Yeah, lots of phlegm.
Sounds nasty. You need to punch that right in the face.
Ow.
Take these! Small miniature superheroes. They can be swallowed. Once inside your body, they will beat the crap out of any bacteria or virus. And then, with a simple sneeze, they'll be deposited back into the world, safe to return to our factory and return to a capsule where they can be swallowed again by other needy, sick individuals.
Wow, this really helped clear up my cold and was great for my vor fetish.
Oh my fucking god.
Please leave this laughter in.
Holy fuck.
Did I get you off guard with that?
Well, I know somebody's really going to appreciate that.
Well, it's soup season, so come on down to Silly Sally Soup Shack. We got all the classics: piping hot rum and raisin, hearty tutti frutti, wholesome raspberry ripple, warming mint choc chip. That's Silly Sally Soup Shack, formerly Silly Sally's Ice Cream Shack, before the incident with the freezer. We're open late.
So, I need a pulling thread.
What have you watched this week?
Ooh, I watched a few things.
Tell me about one of them.
Turn my page over.
Turn your page.
So I watched a TED Talk by Christoph Neumann called You Are Fluent in a Language and You Don't Even Know.
What is the language?
Art.
Ah.
It's talking about how you can understand sort of abstractions like Senate and Peep. You know the famous piece of art?
I'm not sure if I know
It's a
it.
picture of a pipe that just says in French, this is
oh,
not a pipe.
yes, sorry, I'm aware of this now.
So yes, that sort of thing. Like it's not actually a pipe, but we recognise it as a pipe.
Yeah.
We understand that, and then things like sort of right down to sort of icons that we use on sort of emergency signs, like emergency escape signs, things like that. We understand those sort of abstractions.
It's not a one-to-one representation of the thing, but our brain understands how to interpret it.
Exactly.
Oh, heck, that sounds interesting.
It was very interesting. I would recommend it.
We watched a thing together.
We did.
We watched the first episode of season 3 of The Good Place.
Was it the first episode or the first and second episode?
The first and second, I think.
Yeah.
But the first, the episodes
The
that
bit
are up
that's out
currently-
now.
The bit that's out now of The Good Place.
Oh.
That show continues to be very good. Very much enjoyed it.
Definitely looking forward to more of that.
Season 3 definitely seems like a change of pace for that series. But again, like, the difference between seasons 1 and 2, they changed up the structure and pace considerably. Like, this show every season does something different. And I'm up for that. I'm up for that ride. I'm up for this show keeping itself fresh that way. But I enjoy getting to watch these characters in a very different context.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to finding out what happens next, because it was left on a bit of a cliffhanger.
Just a little bit, but that show has not dipped in quality yet, I don't think.
No.
Yeah, what else have you watched?
I watched a TEDx talk called What Happens in Your Throat When You Beatbox by Tom Thumb and Dr. Matthew Broadhurst.
Ooh.
And it starts with Tom Thumb, who does like uses a looper for beatboxing.
Oh, yeah.
So sort of to make more elaborate stuff using fewer samples simultaneously. Which I'm not saying is a bad form of beatbox, but it's not my preferred version. And initially it's a camera down the throat, just showing sort of what's happening with the folds of the throat and the voice box and stuff. And then they move to a content warning, bit graphic now, a camera straight down the nose.
Oh.
So that he can beatbox using the mouth to get all the bilabial plosives and fricatives and things like that. And look at what's going on at the back of the throat on a little screen.
Is it fascinating?
It's absolutely fascinating. You can sort of see where all the different sounds are coming from, and they talk about sort of which bits of your throat are doing what, and naming all the bits.
I imagine it's weird to realise how much control of weird parts of the body you don't think about people must have to do this.
Yeah, it's certainly very interesting. I would recommend it if you can handle a little bit of endoscopy.
I think the only other thing I watched this week is I watched more BuzzFeed Unsolved. I've continued to be very much enjoying their dives into either paranormal stuff or unsolved mystery crimes. I've made it back round to doing their crime season again, and there were some fascinating crimes that came up this time. I was watching one today about a town in America where there was basically a guy who, for about 30 years in this town, had managed to avoid being arrested and was getting more and more dangerous, to the point that, like, he had shot someone in their shop. Like, the bad person, his daughter had, like, been told, no, you can't take that, you haven't paid for it. So bad man starts, like, stalking the shop owner's family and tries to shoot them at some point. And he's just got this really good lawyer that keeps getting him out of these charges. So, the town have a meeting one day, and after the meeting, about 60 people went from the town hall over to the bar where this man was. This man was shot, and apparently none of these 60 people that were surrounding his car when he was shot, none of them saw the shooter, and none of them will to this day talk about who the shooter was. And it seems very clear that it's a case of
the town got together and killed him.
This guy got away from, like, after he shot the shop owner and, like, the shop owner survived, he left the shop, he got out of prison within, like, a couple of days, went to the bar with a shotgun in hand and goes, I'm going to shoot him, I'm going to murder him. And they were just like, if we don't stop this person, he's going to kill someone. So yeah, they shot him in his car, and the whole town swore, we don't know what happened. It's a fascinating little story. There's been some, like, documentaries and stuff on it, but yeah, so that was a really interesting one. I really liked all the specific stuff about that story. Yeah, I continue to very much enjoy BuzzFeed Unsolved. Oh, there was one more I thought was interesting I saw today, was about a woman who was found on this very, very remote hiking trail. Her stomach full of sleeping tablets, but they weren't fully dissolved. her entire front is burnt off. And it's like, okay, if this was an attempt at suicide, why would you, like, you swallowed sleeping tablets, why would you burn yourself?
And what are you doing up
Yeah,
here?
what are you doing up here? And then it gets weirder because they start finding, like, they find her suitcases somewhere. She's got multiple passports, wigs, different outfits, different currencies for different countries. It was a weird mystery of, like, the fuck happened with this woman?
Some unmentionable spy was
Yeah,
murdered.
it seems like a spy was murdered and just, like, found, but there's a lot of, like... Because then you get the question of, like, how did the... It's very hard to force someone to have 70 sleeping tablets.
The KGB have their ways.
Yeah, but even then, like, if you were going to burn them to death, do you need the tablet? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't add up about that one.
Someone
It's-
really didn't like this person.
Yeah, so also all the labels on all her things were scrubbed off. Like, labels in her clothes were cut out. When they found her suitcases, like, the prescription labels have been scrubbed off of her medications.
She does not
Like,
exist.
Yeah,
It's a government job.
But her fingerprints were still intact on the burnt body. Like, you would think if you were trying to erase any sign of who this was, you'd get rid of the fingerprints.
So did they actually identify the body then?
No, they've never identified this body.
Maybe whoever did it knew that there was no way the fingerprints were on record.
Well, like, they couldn't... the only reason they were able to work out these suitcases belonged to her is because her fingerprint was on her pair of glasses in there.
Ah.
So, if they burnt the fingerprints on the body, they couldn't have tied that to the suitcases. So, it's an odd one. Yeah.
Seriously?
I've been
Seriously?
I enjoy their crime stuff a lot. I like their here's a weird crime that no one could ever solve. So, yeah. What about you? What else have you been watching?
I can't remember if I've ever mentioned it on here before, but I sat down and watched the Geekenders Portal 2 unauthorized musical again.
Ooh, that's good, innit?
I like that. It really doesn't help with my crush on Gladys, but yeah, it's fun. I still enjoy the Netflix and Shell joke. I think the guy that plays Wheatley is fantastic.
If you've not checked it out, it's well worth a watch.
It's about 2 hours long. It's available entirely on YouTube. It's a good production. I like the way they had two Chells and we'd get one to sort of walk on opposite sides of the stage through the little light up portals they had.
Yeah.
They've got a squishy companion cube that makes a couple of appearances. The turrets are basically people in hoodies with little red lights on their chests.
Yeah, it's a very cute production.
Yeah, they've done a really good job with it. With limited things, a lot of the songs are sort of covered versions. There's a version of "Poor Unfortunate Souls," which is like "Poor Unfortunate Test Subjects." There's a quick pair of portals make the enemy fall down.
It's good.
Oh, and Suddenly Wheatley. Suddenly Wheatley. And yeah, the guy that plays Wheatley does a pretty good Stephen Merchant.
Oh, he does a very good Stephen Merchant. Yeah. That's everything I've watched. Have you watched anything else?
That's all the things I've put in my eye places.
Well, it's time for this then.
So, Laura, we've got another sponsor this week. We're
Another
doing all
sponsor.
right.
They just keep rolling in these
I know.
sponsors, these very real sponsors we have.
Absolutely, and I'm glad for all of the cash that we're making off these sponsors.
Yeah, so much cash off of these sponsors. Who's our sponsor this week?
Our sponsor this week is Triangle Space, the easy, affordable way to make a website that looks very similar to every other website made on Triangle Space.
Can I have my website covered in 90s animation GIFs that take hours to load and will be of, like, a construction man saying the website is still being built?
Oh yeah, and there'll be a selection of dancing hamsters and obviously the glitter fonts.
Oh, can I have it so when I move my mouse around, like, sparkles follow where the mouse moves on the website?
Yeah, actually, there will also be like a zombie that will follow the trail around as well.
Can I have a little counter at the bottom of the website that says how many people have visited the website?
Yeah, but I like it's hilariously broken and sort of spinning backwards.
Ah, that's so silly.
Like so many people on this website, it's broken our counter.
That sounds fantastic. Where can people go if they want one of these websites?
It's trianglespace.com, and if you want to get 15% off your first order of either a website or a domain, you can just hit the microphone button at the top and type in Q and PS. And you'll get your bonus off there, and you can get making your generic boring MySpace era website.
Hey, if you put that code in, you know what else you get for free?
What's that?
A little MySpace music player that you can put at the top and play all your favourite MySpace music on.
Is it also completely unmutable and far too loud?
Yes, it is.
That's amazing.
That's Triangle Space. Try it today. Hello, and welcome to Cooking with Depression. We're just looking at what we got in the cupboard. It's a bit of a lean episode this week, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we have been standing in front of this cupboard for about 45 minutes trying to make a decision.
I was thinking about burgers, but that requires, like, waiting for the oven to cook and remembering to take the stuff out of the oven. Cooking with Depression today. We're gonna, for dinner, we are gonna have one of the best Cooking with Depression meals. Handfuls of dry cereal straight out of the box. So, what you're going to need for this one is a box of cereal. You're going to need to have none of your bowls clean. They're all like stacked up near the washing up bowl.
I will get around to them.
Yeah, we'll get around to them. And the milk has to have been slightly gone off to the point where, like, maybe it's alright, but we probably shouldn't drink it.
I mean, I sniff tested it. It's not completely off, but
like,
I do feel a bit, like, rumbly in my tumbly.
Yeah, so, like, we're just gonna take the cereal. Thankfully, we got some of the really sugary ones, so, like, that'll, sort us. And we're just gonna eat it straight out of the box.
Yeah, just a few handfuls of Frostos before it all becomes too much and I have to go and just lie down in bed again.
Yeah. Tune in next time on Cooking with Depression, where, I don't know, probably a bag of chewy sweets that we still got somewhere. I think it's open already.
Do you know where we left them?
I'm guessing by the bed. That would make sense.
Yeah.
Let's go have a look for those.
Yeah. So, what have you listened to?
I've not listened to a huge amount this week, honestly. No. I've mainly been listening to stuff I've heard before, so I went back and re-listened to the Undertale soundtrack, because my collector's edition for the Switch of Undertale has finally shipped, and I'm excited to get back into Undertale. That game has one of the strongest chiptune soundtracks I've heard in a while.
I've not played through the game, but I have heard the entire soundtrack and several of the remixes.
You enjoy a lot of remixes.
I do.
What's that really good Temmie one that we like?
Ben Briggs collecting junk with Temmie.
Yeah, that's a good Temmie remix.
Oi.
I'm Temmie, and this is my friend Temmie, and Temmie, I'm a business partner, Bob. So yeah, I've been going back and re-listening to that. I think all of the battle themes for boss fights are all really strong. Undyne's battle music is fantastic.
Which one's Undyne's?
Oh, yeah. That one. That's a really good one. I really like Megalovania, which...
That's such a good tune.
It had to be such a good tune, because if you encounter that tune in game, you're gonna be hearing it a lot. And
it's like the Sans battle music. Fair enough.
It's, for a piece of music that I had to hear 300, 500 odd times, whatever it was, I've forgotten the number off the top of my head, hundreds of times in a row, it had better be a belter of a tune.
It was. I like the Impossible remix version of that.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I think the only other thing from that is... there's a couple... I went back and rewatched a couple of fantastic animations and sort of redone song parodies that are all set to Stronger Than You, but are based on the final fight of the genocide route from differing perspectives. They're really interestingly done. I really enjoy them. I will have to show you a couple of those just because I think they're pretty fab.
Nice.
So yeah, I'll listen to the Undertale soundtrack.
We're not actually Undertale itself. A while ago I bought these straight from the Underground's album, which is available on Bandcamp by Tiny Waves and Friends. And there are some cracking remixes on there, including that Temmie track, Collecting Junk with Temmie. There's the version of, is it Bone Trussell?
Oh, yes.
There's a really good version of that on there. Yeah, and I think you can get the whole album for like $15. Or you can listen to it for free on Bandcamp. But,
Nice.
try before you buy it. It's a good album.
It's a good album.
Mm.
What about you? What you listen to?
Let's see. I started listening to the Skunk Anansi album, Scoosh.
Ooh.
First time in a while.
How was it?
It's still amazing. And Skin has an amazing voice, and there's some really good tunes and some nice, very electronica bass lines. Would recommend Weak Hedonism. Yes, it's political. Yes, it's fucking political. Yeah. You get some good, punky, angry, indie goodness.
Nice. I've been listening to more game soundtracks.
Ooh.
After I started playing Hollow Knight, which has absolutely fab music, I've started listening to that soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes for very, very intense work music where I'm like, I have got to work now.
Is this why you've been so efficient today?
Maybe. I was listening to the Hollow Knight soundtrack while I did the really good clean of my office. Like, sometimes I just need a video game soundtrack that has the right energy to it and I will just power through life. So, yeah, what about you? What else have you been listening to?
That's pretty much it for me.
Only other thing I've listened to, and again, it's because you were playing it, I went back and listened to the Dead Cells soundtrack.
Yeah.
There's some good tracks on that too.
There's some good music in that, definitely.
Yeah, that's everything I've listened to then.
Well then.
Time for the next thing. Do you find yourself posting angry comments against minority groups, telling them they're worthless and making them uncomfortable for no reason? Well, why not try new Could You Just Not At All? A medication which could cut down your cravings and help you just mind your own business.
I haven't commented anything on underneath people I don't know's Twitters.
Side effects may include increased empathy and a decreased appetite for being an arsehole.
Thanks for helping me, Could You Just Not At All? Ding.
Bleh. Mommy friend, I am super upset with these millennials.
What's the problem with them now? I think I know. I'm wondering if I have the same problem.
They're all into us. None of them are scared anymore.
Indeed, I hopped out of a cupboard the other day towards some teenager and went, "I want to suck your blood." And all they did in response is go, "Well, you can suck my something else if you know what I mean." I was like, "Oh, no, you don't want to bang me. You want to be scared of me."
Yes, zombie, exactly. They all just want to bone down on us. It's kind of weird and making me very uncomfortable.
I am a skeleton, and I thought that people would be scared of me, but they want to bone me. And being a skeleton, I appreciate that pun, but I don't appreciate their lack of fear.
I know, it's like they don't have any respect for us, these young people these days.
I've got a strategy, however. I think I know how we can get back to scaring them. We hop out at them as we've been doing. We just do so with a piece of paper and we tell them it's their college debt calling.
You're a genius.
It's student loans.
Question time. It's time for questions.
What's the questions?
Okay, so as you remember, I forgot to put up the question thread until about half an hour before we started recording last time.
So some of these are questions that came last week after we'd already started recording.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there will be names repeated at the beginning and end of this lot. Cal Goodall would like to know favourite polyhedral dice.
Oh, it's an easy, predictable answer. I like a D20.
I do like the icosahedron, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of a D20.
I like a D20. I also like those D3s. I don't know if you've seen them.
Oh, yes.
They look like a triangular prism.
Yes.
And then they have sort of curved ends on them, so that they sort of won't land endwards.
Yes.
Big fan of those. I like those. But if we're just talking about platonic solids, I like the icosahedron and the octahedron.
Oh yeah, they're both good picks.
Yeah. Lucy Nevins would like to know what would they put in a summoning circle to summon you like demons?
Video games probably in there. Well, I don't know. What are you throwing?
Are we going for the two of us together?
Should we do a
as
combined?
one?
Should we maybe do a combined one? Combined summoning circle.
Okay. A hair dye.
Yeah.
Tentacles.
Video games.
Video games.
Knickknacks.
bondage equipment?
I was going to say, what?
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 Some non-muggle mushrooms.
Some non-muggle mushrooms, indeed.
What cybernetic augmentations would you get in the future of 2077? We're ignoring cyberpsychosis because it's bullshit.
Oh yeah, it's bullshit. I like the thought of cybernetic eyes where I can like get a heads-up display shit going on in my eyes.
Mm-hmm. I'd like an ear that doesn't constantly get infections and make me partly deaf.
Yeah.
I'd like a back that doesn't hurt most of the time.
An ear with sensitivity settings where when it's really like loud somewhere, I can just turn the sensitivity down.
I could turn it down while I sleep and have like an internal chronometer that would make me up in the morning.
Can I just have a dial that turns down all of my sensory sensitivity up or down?
That'd be nice.
That'd be nice if we could just turn down the sensitivity a bit.
Yeah, I'd like a foot that doesn't have that thing that it does.
Yeah.
I'm old, I'm broken. It happens.
Yay!
I don't know, is there an option to just sort of have a button for serotonin?
Oh, the serotonin button would be good. Serotonin button, get on that, science.
A button that you can press just to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Just the ability to just go, it's bedtime now, set alarm, 8 hours, boom.
What you want is the melatonin button.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Can we have the serotonin and melatonin buttons?
Yeah.
And then can I just go get a music player embedded in my head so I can hear music on cue without having to wear headphones?
As long as it's ad free.
Oh yeah, no, of course. This is my personal downloaded collection. This isn't streaming to my brain. Yeah, I'm up for those augmentations.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a jetpack. I'd like to be able to fly. That'd be fun. Medicine. Maybe if I could get my healing hands done as a cybernetic. Tentacles.
in terms of feasible ones, you kind of want to get a bifurcated tongue.
Yeah, I mean, but that's not really a cybernetic upgrade.
That's not a cybernetic one. That's a body augmentation thing.
I'd love to get my tongue split, but I hear you have to get it redone and stuff. I was chatting to one of our listeners about it, who is ex-piercer or has piercing experience. So I was like, yeah, that sounds interesting. Want to know about getting tongue piercing? It does sound like a lot of maintenance.
Yeah,
but I do like the idea of being able to lick both sides of my teeth at the same time. And, other things. I want to be able to go rampant rabbit with my tongue.
Teehee. I've talked about this one with you before. I kind of like the idea of getting an NFC chip implanted in my hand. I want to have a kind of cyber hand where I can, activate shit with my hand.
I'd like heat vision.
Heat vision's cool.
And, sonar. I would love sonar.
Sonar is...
That'd be amazing.
It's pretty rad. Oh, yeah. Anyway, what's our next question?
I don't know, I'm still busy upgrading myself. Zaldera would like to know, have you heard of Digitizer? Do you think it's good or bad that they're bringing it back to TV?
I honestly have no idea what that is.
I don't know either.
But that's our answer, we don't know.
Don't know, never heard of it. I don't know if it was a thing we had over here or not. But
let us know about what it is on Twitter.
I'm sure we could just look it up on YouTube.
Probably could do.
Lauren Carroll would like to know, how do you come up with skits?
I stare around my room until things happen in my brain. Actually, let's have a look at what skits did we have on the list today, and I might be able to talk about how the ideas for them happened. Let's see. I don't know.
How about this? We'll look at the chat and we'll do last week so that we don't end up spoiling anything.
Oh yeah, that's a good call. So last week's skits we had So we had the opening, which was the bartender mixing up cocktails.
Yes.
Honestly, I was just trying to think of things that, Queer and Pleasant Stranger, things that could be named Queer and Pleasant Stranger. So we've done a lot of, places. This week was ships. So again, cocktail name was just, I was doing a lot of, what are things that could be named? This. Brochal Justice, free menstrual products, came up. I went... For Brochal Justice, I honestly just load up my Twitter feed and I scroll until I see a topic where I'm like, yeah.
I don't tend to see Brochal Justice as a skit. It's just
No, it's...
Although we're using silly voices, I genuinely believe the things I say during that.
Very much so. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, in terms of finding the topic for that.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's just usually whatever has been showing up most in my Facebook or Twitter timeline that I think is important.
Yeah.
Or in the case of the HIV one, I had a friend contact me.
Yeah.
Basically, he was in tears about the fact that his support service was being cut off. His support worker had basically gone and was like, "Hey, can you please try and raise awareness of this?" So I did.
Yeah.
And we did some research, and hopefully it doesn't sound too stilted, but like it's an important topic.
Yeah.
So
Electronic Arts Soft Trim last week came. That usually comes about. Did video games do a shitty thing this week that we can talk about? Like, and that was the Telltale acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
The Rave Mum skit.
Let's not.
We had a fun night at the weekend.
We met some lovely people, and
Indeed.
some of them look after their friends.
So we met some lovely people on a night out who looked after their friends, and I remembered that person very vividly because I just had a nice memory of a person doing a nice thing. So that's where that came from.
Well, I'm also kind of a rave mum.
You are indeed.
I'm the one that will be sort of standing there on the dance floor watching everyone else.
Are you drinking your water in good amounts?
Yeah, I will always sort of see someone that just looks absolutely battered.
Do you want a lollipop?
Do you want some water? If I had, well, the last one we went to, they took all our lollies when we went in there. But like normally, I'll see sort of people that look like they're sort of vaguely chewing their face off about 2 a.m. Like, do you want a lolly?
Oh
my god, you're a
They took
lifesaver.
all our lollipops away. I managed to get a packet of gum in, and the person that the Rave Mum sketch had got in my head from, they were like, my friends are chewing their faces off. Have you got any gum? And I was like, yes, I do. So I was very thankful to be able to save their faces.
Aww. Yeah, there's nothing worse than waking up with really bad mouth ulcers the following day.
And then the people running, like doing the running, and they're actually trying to get to the front barrier. I was just looking around my room, messing around on the computer, and I found a ticket in my filing cabinet, in my like nice keepsakes thing drawer in my cabinet, where I had a concert ticket, and I was like, oh yeah, that's an experience at concerts.
I mean, the one we've done recently, we've had a couple of ones where we've been sort of doing fake sponsors. We both listen to a lot of podcasts, and I sort of thought it would be quite funny to sort of parody some of the genuine sponsors, because we don't have one. So.
No, so this week, I don't know if it has played yet or if it's upcoming.
Well, this is a question, so I think the only thing that comes after this is Brocial Justice.
Okay, so we had a sponsor one this week, and again, that was just... That's a format I know we've done before. What real sponsors haven't we parodied yet?
Mm-hmm. I've got a list somewhere that I've been sort of sketching out ideas for future ones for those.
For me, I just stare around. It's usually about an hour and a half that I spend just in my office thinking, messing around on Twitter, looking around the room, messing around on my computer, just looking for like what things are in this tweet or picture or item. What ideas do I have for that topic?
And the other one for me is that I waffle quite a lot of shit. So sometimes during the week, I will just say something completely random that will lead me on a bit of a weird tangent, and I will just sort of go, right, that's a Queer and Pleasant Stranger
Grey
skit.
Peter was one that came when we were just bullshitting in bed.
Yeah.
Sometimes these things just happen. Sometimes it's Queer and Pleasant Strangers Day, and we sit down and just we sit and think until we come up with something.
Yeah, there were times when we had skits that just didn't work. They seemed like a good prompt, and we may have ended up coming back to them at some later point, but for whatever reason we couldn't hash out a well-developed version. And then we ended up sort of we thought on the fly of what we could do, and we've come up with some good stuff.
It's very much like when I was trying to write that stand-up set for a while. It's just sit down every day or like every week and go, this is the time where I'm going to think of something, and you sit there until you come up with an idea, and you don't give yourself any external stimuli, and you just go, I don't get to leave here until I come up with something. I better come up with something.
Well, it's one thing I learnt when doing stand-up comedy myself. They said you should always try and write 3 jokes a day. It doesn't matter if they're bad. You just get yourself in the headspace of writing 3 jokes a day.
Yeah, I was doing 2 jokes a day when I was doing that, but...
Well, I mean, like, and I still think that it would be very worth at some point you maybe going through there and coming up with like a really good skit based on like a bunch of your jokes.
I think there's a good skit in there.
I'm sure there is.
But I will go back in there at some point. So I think that answers that question.
Yeah, I think we did all right on that one. Luna, boo! Haha, scared you. We'd like to know, we all love Bowser, etc. But what other mob would you like, from any game series, would you like to see get the Super Crown?
I love the image I saw go around this week of Waluigi puts on the Super Crown and it's like, nothing changed. Waluigi is already a beautiful princess.
And the little blush, it's so sweet.
Blush. I like that one.
Yeah, I would, a Dragon Quest slime.
Oh.
I like hot slime girls. Purple Tentacle from Day of the Tentacle.
Yeah.
Obs, because I'm
Obs.
trash. Jim Sterling spinning games. I think Jim Sterling would make the pretty princess.
Oh, he would make a pretty
Next one
princess.
had to be Miku. So.
Yeah, I think that's some good answers there.
Becky Toohill would like to know, what weird quirks have your houses had?
Oh, weird quirks.
Oh, we've got the bath plug.
Oh yeah, we've got a bath plug that just on the inside of it has engraved the phrase, what was it? In your face, Steve.
Yeah.
In your face, Steve. We have no idea why. It's great. We don't understand it.
When I was living in Sutton, our front door had loads and loads of holes in it. And we later found out from someone who had lived in the house opposite that we bumped into down the pub that they'd been raided one night and basically the door had literally been chopped down by the police. And they'd then basically just tried to glue it back together so that the landlord wouldn't notice. But obviously there's huge chunks go out of the middle of it, but that was basically our front door. Probably not nearly as secure as it should have been.
No, I lived in a house for a while that had cracks that went the whole way through the wall, like from the outside of the house, the outdoors, to the inside.
That's some subsidence for you.
Yeah, which caused, it was freezing in that house. We had real black mold problems in that house. That wasn't great. Oh, that same house. In my office room, there was a cupboard that just had a bidet in it. There's just a bidet in a cupboard.
Oh, yeah, and you didn't realise it was there for, like, a really long time, I seem to remember.
Yeah, I moved in and I just, like, opened this cupboard and started, like, putting packing boxes in there and didn't go back in there for a while. And then was like, that's a fucking bidet. So, yeah, I had a bidet in my office for a while. That was weird.
There was the one in Mitcham that I was living in where it was huge, large, high-ceiling drums because we were there on the top floor of the flat block. And we had a single-walled radiator in the living room and a no radiator in the hallway. We ended up having a leak from our boiler, but we didn't know it was there because it was all just going out the PRV at the back.
Yeah.
So we ended up with black mould all along one side of the house.
Yeah.
And we kept cleaning it off and we kept reporting it to the landlord and we kept going back to it and nothing happened. So we just got bored. We were only paying about like $6.50 a month rent.
Yeah.
So we didn't really want to kick up too much fuss because we couldn't afford anywhere else.
Yeah.
And like about a month before we moved out, a new property manager took over.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, well, you're moving out, we better come and have a look. And they were like, fucking hell, what's up with all this black mould? And we're like, we've repeatedly told you. They're like, no, we're the new ones. We had no idea.
Yeah.
How have you only got one radiator in the living room and nothing in the hallway? That's not nearly enough.
Oops.
Indeed. So they fixed it as we were trying to box up and get moved out. Like, could you not just leave it a couple of weeks and come back after we've gone? No, it needs to be ready to rent again. So we were boxing stuff up, moving it to the middle of the room, covering it in, like, dust blankets so that they could go in there and then do all the walls and stuff.
Oh, goodness.
That wasn't fun.
What's the next question?
So Aldera would like to know, which old video game TV shows would you like to see return, if any?
I think you could do a good Legend of Zelda TV show at this point. I think you could do good sort of just like big high fantasy grand adventure.
That would be cool. I know they keep sort of messing around with that. I read this as being a question about like games, TV shows about games, things like Games Master.
The only one of those I remember... Oh, I don't even remember what it was called. It was very yellow-themed. They had, the Game Guru was a thing in it.
Oh, was that on Channel 5?
I believe it might have been Channel 5.
And Big Boy Barry.
I don't remember if it's Big Boy Barry, but whatever that show is, I got an apology thing and some signed postcards from that show once.
Ooh.
I tried to enter a competition on their show, and I just had my first mobile phone, and it just charged me over and over and over and over and over and over again for competition entries when I just tried to enter this 50p competition once.
Oh, goodness.
So they refunded my money and gave me a free polyphonic ringtone. I think it was the Simpsons theme tune, and a sorry letter and some signed cards. So whatever one had the I think it was called the Game Guru. I think. I don't even remember what that show's called at this point, but yeah, that game show is the one I remember being like, oh yeah, that was a good one.
I think I know what show you're talking about. Yeah. I would say anything with Violet Berlin in it because she was fucking hardcore.
Nice.
Do you remember Violet Berlin?
No.
Might have been a bit before your time. She had platinum blonde hair and she was a proper games journalist. And weirdly, they had, I think, Andy Crane on as the other host. And he seemed to know considerably less about video games at a time when video games were still largely seen very much as sort of it's a boys thing. Sadly. And I always thought she was pretty damn punk and kick-ass. Alternatively, I'd love to see Cyberzone come back. I don't know if you ever heard of this show. No. It was a Craig Charles hosted VR adventure game show. Where there were sort of challenges where people would go into... Do you remember the old virtuality headsets? You used to get them at arcades and things, huge fucking things.
Yeah.
It was a virtuality headset with these just awful, worse than Super FX chip quality games of piloting tanks around at half a mile an hour. And you got Craig Charles trying to sort of drum up enthusiasm and and tension of the whole thing, and it's just chugging along at 4 frames a second.
Oh, I remember one that was on CBBC in probably the early 2000s. I think it was called Bamzuki, where it was about making these you would use a computer program that they freely distributed to make these virtual insects or creatures,
and then fight each other.
Yeah, you'd fight them in
I remember that.
Okay, I found out what the name of that show I was thinking of was called. It was Gamesville. It was a Sky One program from 2003 to 2004.
Okay.
So I must have been 12, 13 when that show was on. But, yeah, Gamesville was one I remember. It was the one that was on TV when I was, just realising video games were a thing I could invest a lot of my time into.
Yeah, I guess I probably would have been sort of in my 20s then, so I don't think we had cable anywhere I was living, so I probably wouldn't have seen.
Oh, things I found. Apparently, the character that I was referring to, the games guru...
Larry Daly Jr.
Yeah, well, the games guru, who was this, creepy man in a cape and
that
hood.
one, yeah.
He apparently wasn't in the second season because someone was like, no, that's my character that you stole. And they were like, oops.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What other questions have we got?
Bethany Turner, any thoughts on the Bowsette phenomenon?
I've talked about this on other shows, I think. I am staying relatively away from a lot of the discourse because it got pretty toxic pretty fast.
Oh, dear.
But I like the idea of Rule 63 character art has always been a kind of cool thing. I am very okay with the fact that a character that I'm totally headcanoning as trans has become very popular and sought after. I'm like, yeah, you go, fictional trans character, woo. I still think that the best version of that character is the big, beefy, hench ones that have a nice Bowser build, as opposed to the ones where it's they're now tiny and petite. It's no,
huge boobs.
You've got to have a Bowsette that could step on your face if they wanted to.
I like all of the versions of Bowsette. I like the big burly Bowsettes. I like the skinny Bowsettes. Yeah. I think there have been some really cool ones. I liked the there was someone did a cosplay that shared on my Facebook. I can't remember who the cosplayer is, but it's a sort of mask-presenting guy with this really nice beard in a black leather skirt.
Oh, nice.
and just looking fantastic as Bowser.
I
It's
love
like, like that.
I love some of the things it has spawned. I love Boozette, for example.
Oh,
Boozette is
and,
really cute.
Bloop set, I guess.
Yeah.
I saw a really good GIF, sort of just before we started, actually, of a piranha plant.
I like that this has been a thing. Yeah, I like this. Oh, piranha plantettes.
She's got little spiky tendrils.
Okay, this has just been an excuse for cute character designs. I'm okay
Yes.
with that.
Yeah, I'm loving how much art it's created. I enjoy art.
Indeed. Any other questions?
Crimson, what's something that you wish you were taught in school?
How to do taxes and manage bills, and how you read a contract properly and understand what a contract is, and what your rights are as someone moving into a home, be it rented or purchased, and what your rights are in terms of your bills and your banks, and what the general things you need to know how to live. I would very much like to have been taught that shit.
Yeah, how to adult would have been a good idea.
How to adult. Just a general, like, here's how to do the life things that you're gonna need to do.
Yeah, BSL, relationships, consent, anything to do with LGBTQIA, because I grew up during 20section 28, so that wasn't even a thing. Politics, taxes, human rights,
Yeah.
laws.
Yeah, what are the laws?
Most people don't know the laws.
Yeah.
Why is this not taught? You're just expected to know what the laws are.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the big ones sort of get mentioned quite a lot, but I'm sure there are laws sort of like that just people aren't ever told.
Yes.
And they say that ignorance is no solution. Then if ignorance is no excuse for breaking the law that these people have set out, then they should make more effort to teach people what those laws are.
Yeah, there's a really good rap track that someone on YouTube did about that, and it's really annoying me that I can't remember who this guy is. I'm just going to do a quick Google.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's this artist is called Boy in a Band, and he's got a really good track called "Don't Stay in School" that is basically entirely about like,
School
hey,
didn't teach me the things.
school didn't teach me the things I needed to know. Like, there's a point in there where he starts like going through like the human rights list and going, how many human rights do you know your human rights? Probably not.
Nope.
No.
I've seen that track and I can't remember what they
Yeah, I
are.
can't remember the. Yeah, he brings up that point about the laws as well. It's like, I don't know what laws there are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one that gets in my head when I think about it. It's like, yeah, I don't know what laws there are.
Yeah.
There are many laws I do not know about.
It seems pretty fucking vital.
Yeah, you would assume you would need to know what laws there are.
Kinda, yeah.
Like, I hypothetical example. Let's say there is a tree growing on like a sidewalk, pavement, and it's a fruit tree, and there's fruit growing on it. I don't know if I would be allowed to pick that fruit. Is it considered public, or is it considered owned by the council that planted it and owned the pavement? I don't know.
I mean, personally, if I felt confident enough to know when fruit was ripe, I'd eat it and say that it was public.
But like,
Actually,
that's-
I might just leave it for the people who actually.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm sure it would be fine, but I don't know if it's technically legal. I don't know if that would be legal to do, because I don't know the laws.
Well, me being the kind of hedonistic hippie type I am, I would say that it's there is no moral law against it.
There's no moral law,
It's
but
food,
is
and
there
therefore people who need it should have
is
it.
there a legal law, though? I don't know.
If there is, I don't agree with it already.
Indeed. But yeah,
Like many laws.
there are many laws I choose to think are
Guidelines.
advisory, rather than things I must do in my
As
life.
long as you're not hurting anyone. As long as you're not
Exactly.
causing harm to others.
Yeah. What other questions we got?
Your body, your rules. Bungle would like to know how you're so fabulous.
Well, that'll be so fabulous, dear.
Well, I had to Google what the definition of fabulous was, just to be sure. It described it as extraordinary, especially of extraordinarily large scale. So I would say cake, pastries, cookies, my epic cooking in general, my baking skills. That is why I am so fabulous. Either that or biodegradable glitter. Because I
Bio glitter definitely helps.
do have a lot of glitter.
The answer I think of when I hear that question is I go, There was a point a few years ago where I just learned to stop giving a fuck. And I think I've become a far more fabulous person since I stopped caring what anyone thought.
I'd fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah. Learning not to give a fuck what the world thinks makes it very easy to become a more fabulous person.
What questions we got?
What is your advice for a young trans person early in transition struggling with doubts?
What I would say is, you don't have to be sure. On a day-by-day basis, do what feels best for you and what feels more comfortable for you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be sure of any kind of long-term plan or whether, this is going to be a thing forever or whatnot. Just day-to-day, what do you want to do that's going to make you comfortable? Go with that and see where that takes you.
The only thing I would add to that really would be to say, ask yourself what the source of those doubts is. Is it that you genuinely think X or Y, or is it that you've consumed a lot of media recently and you are being led to believe that you are wrong or you're getting some internalized transphobia? Because I still stuff with self-directed internalized transphobia.
Yeah.
Things then that's all part of depression with me anyway. You can't always trust what your brain is saying when it's being negative and shitty.
Well, there's stuff that'll come up where, sometimes I will wear just, baggy, non-femme-coded clothing, and I won't have shaved for a couple of days, and I go, there'll be that little voice in my head that goes, does that make me less valid as trans? And I'm like, no, of course not. There are butch, or more masculine-presenting women, that's totally okay. You've just got to get okay with answering your own questions and... Yeah. Finding answers that you're happy with and living the life that makes you happy.
Be comfortable. I don't want to be the person that goes, oh, why do we need labels? And I would say you do need labels from the point of view of being able to talk about the things and where you feel a certain way. But if a label is not doing you any good, don't be afraid to just go, that's...
Yeah.
I'm not being bound by that. Be as comfortable as you can be. Question where your doubts are coming from, and if that is genuinely something that you're concerned about, sit and take some time out to sort of be present in that thought and what that means to you.
Don't run away from those thoughts. Take the time to be okay with them and to think about them.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Kel Griddle would like to know, are you planning to make any sort of Halloween costumes this month?
Well, Halloween, I think, is just after MCM in London, which I'm going to. I don't think they overlap this year. They get very close to overlapping some years.
I think Halloween's the Tuesday.
Yeah, it's the day after I get back, I think. I think within the next year or two, it will go back to being on an MCM, which would be good. But I'm doing some costume design stuff because it's October and that's when I go to one of my big conventions, not because it's Halloween. But costumes I'm putting together. I'm redoing my loop from the Adventure Zone.
Yay!
I've started putting together a Ned from the Adventure Zone.
I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, it's going to be me in grey hair and a big bushy grey beard in a Chewbacca onesie with a Narf blaster. I'm redoing my Diva cosplay
Nice.
I've done before, and I'm putting together a Tracer cosplay, which I wanted to do for a while. So that's what I'm doing at the moment.
You do look good in those leggings.
I do love those leggings.
Accentuates the bouteille.
What about you?
I'm excited about this. So I bought a morph suit of just having the skin removed and muscles. Weirdly, it's got nipples on it. If the skin's been removed, why are there still nipples on there? At a really odd angle as well. Which is going to look weird with a bra under it, but there we go. I'm going to wear that without having the face bit up. And then I'm going to do my face to look like I've had my eye. I've got a really cool prosthetic that looks like my eyes have been scooped out. I'm going to glue some fake eyes I got sort of onto my face and make little fake eyelids out of some latex.
Yeah.
that I'm gonna glue on to sort of make it a bit more thing. I'll sort that with a bit of makeup, and then there'll be liberal applications of cake blood and sort of regular dripping blood that I'll put on there. I've had an idea about how I can make some fake covers for my big stompy boots, the platform boots.
Yeah.
I'm going to get some plastic bags, wrap them around, and then cover it in PVA glue and some flesh-coloured paint to make it look like I've got just these weird meat stumps at the ends of my legs.
Get
I'm
ready.
going to cover in blood and stuff for that.
Get ready for me to be afraid to kiss you that day.
Well, I will be out for most of the day, so don't
Okay.
you worry about it.
'Cause
And I will
as-
probably want to get it off almost as soon as I
As
come
was
home.
discovered at MCM when you had your scooped out eyes none look.
Oh yeah, I went as an unlit
I was
guardian.
a little bit scared to kiss you.
Oh. I went as an unlit guardian to MCM last year.
You looked a bit scary.
Go with your own characters.
On that note, at some point, don't know when I'm going to get round to it, I want to cosplay Veltari from Dice Funk.
That would be awesome.
I know, it's a thing I want to do. I need to find some good purple skin paint and some good horns and stuff. But I want to do a Veltari cosplay.
Well, if you can find a good Veltari cosplay, I might see if I can go as your hot barmaid.
Oh, you could go as Carrie.
Yeah.
You could go as my demon bartender gal.
Yeah, I think I'd make an alright demon.
Oh, I'd be very up for that pair of cosplays. I need to look into this because it's one that requires body paint, and that's a whole investment in time. So
I like and body paint, yeah.
yeah, it's finding one that isn't gonna just come off through the day annoyingly. Isn't gonna require too much touching up. I did do one with all over face paint before. I did Undyne from Undertale, where I turned my skin blue. I looked very different.
Yeah, he looked pretty damn awesome. I think that was the second time I met you. You were dressed as Undyne.
Quite possibly.
And almost as soon as I got there, you were already trying to take the costume off.
I had that blue paint on for about 3 hours and was like, this was fantastic. I got some great pictures. Nope, off it comes.
It's quite enough of that.
Yeah,
Thank you very
I need to
much.
try a couple of different body paints because sensory-wise, that played havoc.
Yeah, that seemed like really thick paint. I think you need something more I know it's not vegan, but like a snazaroo, that sort of...
Yeah, but the problem with that stuff is it's too... It runs if you sweat. Which inside
depends
I think...
how hot you get, but you can set it with hairspray and stuff.
I've tried that before. I had real trouble getting that to work right, which is why I tried the heavier stuff. It definitely stayed on better, but
Yeah,
it felt worse on my face.
yeah, it looked like rubber peeling off you in places.
Yeah, no, I probably could have peeled that off like one of those face masks.
Yeah. Was it acrylic?
Probably.
It looked
I
like
think.
acrylic paint.
It felt acrylic. Any other questions?
That is all of the questions. Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of? Justice Warriors.
Alright, Larry?
Right, Larry, how you doing?
I'm feeling a bit snuffly, mate. I'm not sure how long I'll be able to keep this up for, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll try and make this one a quick chat today. Yeah. I've been a bit grumbly today.
Yeah, what's up, mate?
Yeah. I saw a thing. I was going around.
Yeah.
One of the UK universities has done a thing that I think is honestly quite a good thing, but I saw a lot of people grumbling about. Was a university has basically said, "Hey, students, could you, rather than clapping, could you do jazz hands instead?"
Like a deaf round of applause.
Indeed, it's a deaf round of applause. In BSL, that's how you do a hand of applause. You do jazz hands. It's better for people with sensory processing issues. It's not so overwhelming and that. Well, I saw some people being some real jerks about it. A lot of people being like, "Oh, all you pansies that can't deal with a bit of noise, wanting people to bend over backwards for you." One of them I saw actually learned something to turn his story around on it. I got annoyed this morning, and this was what was going to make me bring it up. I saw Jeremy Vine. I saw was comparing it to people 100 years ago in World War One weren't scared of a bit of clapping noise.
I think you'll find that a lot of them have post-traumatic stress disorder, so
indeed.
were consequently afraid of a bit of noise.
Indeed, it was indeed a terrible example, but he actually changed his tune. You know, I know someone that explained to him about autism and sensory processing. He actually took that tweet back. But yeah, it's just a thing that I think we should maybe talk about a bit more. This whole it's quite good to have a form of applause that doesn't involve uncontrolled, unpredictable noise in all directions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's quite important for people. It's good for people with who get overwhelmed by too much noise. It's good for people who struggle with sort of general sensory issues. It's inclusive for people who use sign language.
Indeed. It's just like I've been to an event once where it was done, and it was just not a big deal. Just at the start of one of the events, one of the panels we were in, the person hosting the thing went, "Would you mind if you want to applause doing jazz hands instead? We can still see that you are appreciative and you think it's a good thing that happened, but it's not causing issues for people who have audio issues, and it hurts no one to do. It's not like you're getting less." You're getting less of an ability to show your appreciation, and you're making things easier for people.
The other thing that you might see, hopefully, as a benefit for people who don't have those issues. Sometimes, if you're at a big event, maybe like a ceremony or something like a graduation ceremony, something like that, you couldn't be clapping for bloody ages.
Oh yeah.
Live music events, if people are on like watching a musical, there's very often like a good 15 minutes of clapping while we're seeing everyone come out again. They might be doing a little bit of a reprise. So sit there just clapping along with that for the whole time, it can get quite painful on the old hands.
Also, you know what it really helps with? Sometimes when applause happens and it in a live setting, and people have to stop what they're doing and wait for you to finish clapping because, you're not going to be able to hear me if I keep going now. This is one where, people can get their applause in, and the people on stage can keep doing the thing. They can, keep going uninterrupted.
Yeah.
You don't have to have that awkward moment of, okay, we're just going to sit here until you finish applauding, and then we can get on with this.
Yeah.
It's quite nice to be able to hear the people that you came to see do a live thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I think there's a thing that I'm glad that some people that I saw complaining about it actually learned a bit, but there's still people that are grumbling about it. I think this is a thing that should be learned about.
Yeah, well, I certainly hope that people, do learn from this too. Try and be a bit more accepting rather than immediately leaping on the, wow, what's the problem with people?
Yeah.
Just try and be a bit more understanding of your fellow human being.
Yeah, exactly. Right, you want to have that before we finish?
Always, mate, always.
I wonder if people if people were hearing this conversation, I wonder if people hypothetically wonder whether we're actually arguing or not, because...
Well, yeah, I mean,
we do,
I've listened to these back, and it certainly sounds like we have moved relative to the relative to any hypothetical microphone.
Indeed, I think people can probably tell, but just to confirm, we do actually hug when we do this.
Absolutely, if an excuse for a hug, really.
Yeah.
Not that we need one.
Oh, that was a good hug.
Yeah, it was a good hug. Shall I pop the kettle on?
Yeah, just hot chocolate. I'm going to go for that nap.
Oh, yeah, definitely fancy a cocoa.
Laura!
Yes?
Welcome to Fun to on the internet, darling.
You can find me at Laura K Buzz pretty much everywhere. Laura K Buzz on Twitter, Laura K Buzz on YouTube, Laura K Buzz on Twitch. You can also find me Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 at kotaku.co.uk. You can find me on seasons 3, 4, and now 5 of Dice Funk. It's a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition real play podcast. Every season is a self-contained story, so you can jump into whichever one you fancy. Season 3, it's a bunch of people trapped in a town that they can't escape from. Season 4 is like cyberpunk overthrow capitalism. Season 5 is space, go on cool space adventures with drunk hippo lady captain. Other than that, my memoir comes out on July 18th, 2019. Still a bit of a way away, but you'll be able to pre-order that soon. Also, probably within the next week, you will be able to put some money down for the Butt Book. The Butt Book is getting properly announced in the next week or so with like a trailer and a bunch of art and a bunch of people who are going to be guests in it are going to be announced. Cough, cough, cough. There's some cool people in there that we've mentioned on this show before. I think that's about it.
The art is looking absolutely fantastic.
What about you? Where are you on the internet?
I'm on stonemonkeyradio.blog. I can be found as Maniac Janiac on Twitter and YouTube. I am on soundcloud.com/JaneAerisMagnets. You might be listening to this now. And I do twitch.tv/Janiac every Thursday around 7:30, 7:45. I will play games for and waffle crap for an hour. And if you want to watch the VODs for the last few, they are up on YouTube for your delectation. There is also a Stone Monkey Radio Facebook page if you want to meet other Stone Monkey Radio based people in a space that isn't already set up specifically as one of yours, dear.
I think that's it. So until next time, be a stranger.